Good afternoon and welcome to the online handed footy show for 2021. And this is episode number 3. And we must thank our sponsors, of course, Chinnix Pies, McDonald's, Power Core, SunGold Fresh Local Milk and Lindock Living. We absolutely love the team out there, Dora and Power, and of course Sue Cassidy and the team doing a magnificent job. Hilly, we say a very good afternoon to yourself, mate. Looking magnificent too in the brand new jumpers. We've got the
they're
jumpers.
Nice and comfortable. I'll tell you what, Matty, some great merch from Peter Heaton, our general manager, which is fantastic.
Yeah, you fill it out pretty well, mate, that is for sure. Hey, listen, first official round of football and netball last weekend, round number 1, played in horrific conditions. Let's be honest, Hilly, it was just shocking, wasn't it? We were up at the Friendly Societies Park, South Warrnambool v Warrnambool, and I don't think we've seen worse conditions like that, apart from probably that prelim final a couple of years ago, Port Fairy v Croydon.
Yeah, no, it was terrible weather, and the same was over at Portland and Croydon, it seems like, as well, where the Saints had a big win, Matty, but look at that rain, and we experienced a little bit of that up at the Friendly Societies Park, but it was more the wind than anything that was really terrible and made it really tough conditions. So, and as you can see, really windy over there where Jeremy Hawes would usually nail those ones from about 15, 20 metres out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, that was just shocking footage over there last Saturday night under lights. Let's go to Camperdown and Terang. Wasn't much better conditions there either, Hilly. You can see that rain coming in sideways and, just really cold, wintry conditions, especially coming off the back of Good Friday where we had that 30 degrees out at Victoria Park, Croydon. It was a bit of a change, wasn't it?
Absolutely, and it would have been tough conditions. Speaking to a few players from a few different clubs throughout the course of the week, they said it was just hard. Mickey Louther's he's gone on the backside.
Oh, unbelievable. He's a good man, Mickey Louther too. He does a great job. Been umpiring the league for such a long period of time. Cobblin and the North Warrnambool Eagles, of course, that was the other day game last week. Really went down to the wire in the end in pretty tough and trying conditions as well, mate.
Yeah, and there was a few injuries for both sides as well, and I think it's just obviously two sides really going hard in for the football, and always a great contest between the Eagles and also the Bombers. And for the North Warrnambool Eagles, they were able to get the job done by 3 points, and I think the Cobden Bombers, they'll be probably a little bit disappointed, maybe one that they let go. Yeah,
absolutely. I've always said we don't know a great deal about the Cobden Bombers down there. They kind of sneak under the radar, as do Camperdown and the outlying teams like your Hamilton and also Portland. But I think they're going to upset a few teams this year, Hilly. I really do. I reckon they've got a good mix by the looks of it. And I know the conditions would have suited that running brigade down there at the Cobden Bombers, mate. And they're going to upset a few, and they could be knocking in that finals door, I reckon.
Absolutely, and I think the great thing with the Cobden Bombers is that there's a lot of unknowns, but there's a lot of players that have probably played 50 or 60 games now, so they're really starting to get that experience at the Hampton Football Netball League, and you chuck in a few new recruits. That Mark Marriott, their big new ruckman, apparently all reports went really, really well. It's going to be a really good player for them, so I'm looking forward to seeing what the Bombers can do this year.
Yeah, let's have a look at the highlights from our match of the day. Of course, South Warrnambool taking on the Warrnambool Football Club in very trying conditions. And, it was howling straight off the ocean up at the Friendly Societies Park. And, well, since they've discarded the trees there at the Friendlies, it doesn't get much better, does it? And, Willie Pomeran, he slots a nice little one there. He was fantastic all day for South Warrnambool, wasn't he?
Yeah.
A real shining light.
Yeah, he was. He was our Matthews Petroleum Player of the Day. And Sam Cowling is venturing down to the back line for season 2021.
And that's where he's going to stay, they tell me.
Yeah.
He's going to play down back. So he was awesome in that first half for the Blues defence, but they were certainly under the pump, Hilly, to say the least. And the interesting thing I thought with this game was Warrnambool kicked with the win for obviously the second and the final quarters. They only scored 4 points with it.
Yeah, it didn't kick a goal. They didn't kick a goal. They kicked it against the breeze up the midfield end, and it was a really hard breeze to kick goals to as well. So, that was a really, interesting factor of the game.
Corey Gallichan there, of course, one of the best games I've ever seen Corey play. He was fantastic across the whole 4 quarters for South Warrnambool.
Yeah, he was. Got in and under, got a lot of loose football, but he's also at a great height where he can take some good contested marks, and he did so about 45, 50 metres out on a number of occasions. So, terrific game from Corey Gallichan.
Shannon Beck's continuing on his good form as well. He's a big, strong unit. That was a great contest down back, of course. There's big Dan Weymouth, and there's Beck's again taking another contested mark. He was fantastic right across the board for the South Warrnambool Roosters. In for a big year. He probably had a quite good Friday game, but he bounced back pretty hard.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And I guess a lot is going to rest on his shoulders with their forward line duties. And we had a bit of a chance in the ruck as well, but he'll be down forward and really a key component of the South forward line structure. Jackson Bell, as you said, really hard end to kick goals, and he kicked what was an absolute beauty.
Must apologise too. That was a cracking goal by Jackson Bell. We had to move the camera. The weather was that bad, so we're in an area which wasn't that elevated, Hilly. To be back this weekend, Fitz Media and the crew, they've done an awesome job. That is for sure, in pretty trying conditions, but it'll be back, into a bit of normality, I guess, come Saturday in our match of the day, which is going to be Port Fairy taking on Portland.
Yeah, can't wait to get over there, and looking forward to seeing Shane Savage. And I know we've got a very special guest from the Port Fairy Seagulls very soon. But great win by the South Warrnambool Roosters. They had a lot of scoring shots, probably dominated the play at the end of the day. And the Blues, I think they'll have a good look at the match and say, listen, this didn't work, and they'll look at things to try and get their first 4 points of the year this weekend.
Pit Stop Menswear Player of the Year, of course, 3-2-1 from all of our games each and every year. Fantastic award, a $750 Daniel Hector suit. We must thank Pete and Lee Watson and the crew down at Pit Stop Menswear. And, the 3 votes went to Will Pomeran, and he was sensational.
Yeah, back at the Roosters after some time at the Bloods and obviously away from Warrnambool, and great to have him back at South Warrnambool. Really good in the clinches and clean. That was the thing that really we identified the most with Will Pomeran, was sticky conditions, windy conditions, but when he had the football, he was clean and was efficient, and that was, went a long way to the Roosters really performing well on Saturday.
Yeah, it's just, he played in that 2011?
Nigel Cole, I reckon.
Yeah, premiership. So the last senior premiership at South Warrnambool, beat away, and obviously a welcome return. And he was in absolutely everything, and he's a good kid too. So congratulations to Will, and he takes out our Pit Stop Player of the Year. He gets the 3 votes anyway. And we will have a leaderboard, Hilly, too, in the coming weeks, which I'm looking forward to, because it's always a pretty prestigious award to win.
Oh, absolutely. We've had some great winners over the journey. Dan Nicholson, formerly of Port Fairy, Sam McLaughlin, Liam Hoy. So some real stars of the competition have been able to take out our Player of the Year award. And gee, why wouldn't you want to take it out this year with that beautiful Pit Stop Menswear suit and those lovely shoes that Lee and Pete Watson will put towards our Player of the Year. Can't wait.
Yeah, I can see Willie Pomeran, of course, in that magnificent Daniel Hector suit. It will suit him right down to the ground. And we're going to give away some Tommy Hilfiger as well from Pit Stop Menswear throughout the season, Hilly. So I'm looking forward to that as well, mate. So we must thank Pete and Lee Watson and the team down at Pit Stop Menswear for our Player of the Year. What about the Lucas Brothers snag of the day? I love this. A $50 voucher, all thanks to Pete Harris and the crew down at Lucas Brothers Butchers. Great supporters, great sponsors. There wasn't a lot of highlights, Hilly, let's be honest, but this was one of them.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Jackson Bell, in his element, was able to zigzag through a couple of South Warrnambool Roosters and slide it through 30 metres out in a really tough breeze. We can't underestimate how tough that breeze was, kicking down the midfield end of the Friendly Societies Park. And geez, it was a ripping goal. And it got the Blues up and about a little bit too, didn't it?
Yeah, absolutely it did. At the time, I think they drew level.
Yeah.
It was 20 apiece, and South Warrnambool were just too strong in the end. You kind of thought, hang on, we've got a bit of a game on here, but to South's credit, they were too good and too strong in the end and ran out comfortable winners. What about this one? The Southwest Tools Tool of the Week. Very popular award, of course. Timmy McIntyre took it out last week from the Koroit Football Club. Notable mention, I've got to give this letter mention, the skipper, the new skipper out at Koroit, Liam Hoy, flew to the Sydney Easter Sales, of course, the horse sales. He works as assistant trainer at Wild Racing. I'll tell you what, got some nice horses, Wild Racing, too. If you want to go in one, go and see Simon Wild and the crew out there. They will look after you. But flew out of Avalon, Hilly, as you do. A little bit of confusion as to what flights to come back on, and flew back into Tullamarine. And I don't think he realised it was a pretty hectic couple of days. Didn't have a lot of sleep and stuff, did Hoysey, and feverishly trying to find the car in the car park. And kind of the penny dropped. He was back at Tullamarine. He wasn't at Avalon, and had to get the Uber all the way back down the highway. So very lucky, Hoysey, that I like you a lot, and you're not our tool of the week. But you don't have to be dead to be stiff, Hilly, do you? You know, like I was driving around the streets of Waterville on Monday, and we seen a great debut for this from this young kid, Benedict Howard. I just happened to drive down Skene Street, and I looked at this young blonde kid, and I thought, geez, that looks like Benedict. And I'd done a little Yui, and I snapped the photo. He's run out of fuel in the Mercedes with the P plates on it, the great man. And I just happened to be coming past right at that moment. He was shattered, mate. He was shattered.
The worst person in Warrnambool to be coming in and losing, running out of petrol with is M. Stewart. There's no doubt about it.
Oh, he's a great kid, but he's going to be happy because he's got the $50 voucher, all thanks to Paddy Lane and the team at Southwest Tools. And, well, Benny, Hilly reckons you stalled the mower too when he saw you the other day, mate. You've had a couple of faux pas. So keep them coming, okay? If there's someone at your club that's done something silly or something funny, just drop us a line on the online show. You can drop us a line on Hammond League Live. Just send us a message and we'll do our best. Photos work even better, don't they, Hilly? But poor, he was on the slope and everything. I said to Benny, I said, listen, mate, do you want me to give you a hand? He goes, I'm right, thanks, Matty.
So did you have to walk down to the petrol station to go fill up, or did you offer him a ride? Or?
He was very lucky. He already had the jerry can by the time I went past, but he was very, very lucky. He only had about a 100-metre walk down the hill there at Japan Street. He had to walk back up it, obviously, and the car was on the slope, so he was pretty lucky, I think, the young kid.
I love it. Poor kid.
$50 voucher, though. So
I love it, though.
That is fantastic. Hey, Hilly, we've got a fair bit to get through tonight. Of course, our preview show now, we're going to have a look at the games coming up. Our game of the day, or our match of the round, is going to be, of course, Port Fairy taking on Portland. Looking forward to seeing both these teams for the first time in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. I'm just looking at their team list from last week. A lot of new names, especially for Port Fairy and also for the Portland Tigers. A lot of young names as well. So I just can't wait to see a lot of the young emerging players in the competition from both of these sides and see how they go. Because I think, obviously they'll be aiming for finals, but I think too, to get some good senior footy into some of these young blokes is going to be a real key prerogative for a lot of these sides as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the key for us is we want to get around as many clubs as we can with the live streaming over the next kind of 6 to 7 weeks. So we will be coming to a club near you and your club will feature, which is pretty exciting, that is for sure. We're going to go to the Zoom now. Great to see him back coaching the Portland Tigers. We say a very good afternoon. Jared, how are you, buddy?
Good, thanks, Matty. Hey, Hilly.
Mate, looking at $1 million, Holdy, to be honest, rugged up over there. It's a bit cold in Portland, is it, tonight, mate? What's going on?
It's always nice over here. It's freezing. Like everyone, we had a good Easter, and then the weekend was terrible and it's dragged out. So hopefully it comes good for this weekend.
Now, listen, Holdy, you come up against, the favourites, probably the premiership favourites. They've won the last 6 in Koroit, an awesome outfit. We know how good they are. You've seen a lot of Koroit over the last 4 or 5 years. Where do you see them in 2021?
Yeah, they're impressive. As we'd expect, I think they've been the benchmark, and I think they are going to be again. They've just got those really good, mature players. They all play their role really well. In the conditions, it was terrible conditions, as it was everywhere, all around the parks. We've, with the wind and rain, and some of their skill in those conditions was first rate, and they outplayed us, that's for sure. We knew it was going to be a challenge for us coming up against them, and for all our guys. I don't reckon we've even had a training session in the rain leading up to it, and we had that hit us, and also hadn't had the opposition. It was a tough day for the boys, but they conducted themselves really well. They had a crack. There's obviously a lot of things we'll work on. A lot of things we'll learn from the game and take out of it. So, for us, it's just about improving, getting better as the year goes on. Hopefully, against Port Fairy this week, it's a good opportunity for us, which I'm sure they're looking at as a good opportunity for them as well. Both sides are probably sitting fairly similar. Looking from the outside, hopefully for us, we can get a win on the board.
Holdy, obviously a tough game and tough conditions to really analyse, because I guess it's just trying to get it forward and trying to score as best you can and as quick as you can. But if you were able to take a couple of key takeaways from the game, was there one or two that sort of stood out more than anything for you?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of things. It is hard to take a lot out of the game, because I guess everything you've been working on during the pre-season probably gets thrown out in the window a little bit with those sort of conditions. But individually there was some young guys that we had play that did some really good things, and they're going to be better for it. We had some young guys playing on some really good players. For Croyd as well, who come off the ground. I spoke to them afterwards, and they personally have taken a lot out of that. There's definitely a lot we can take from it.
Mate, back at the helm, of course, you had a stint when Portland first came into the Football League. You went up and coached the Hamilton Kangaroos. You've come back now to Portland. What change have you seen in the club, mate, in that period of time? Because you kind of you eat, sleep, and breathe Portland. It's kind of, you got the yellow and black running through the veins, mate. What's the difference in your eyes at the Portland Football Club?
Well, there has been a fair change of personnel. It must have been, I think it's 8 years when I last coached Portland to now. But I think there's 3 blokes that are still playing that I coached back then. So the personnel changeover is a lot different. And I think back then we had a fairly young side. Last year we tried to recruit a few players and had some things in place, and we're looking pretty good. And unfortunately during COVID it hasn't really helped our cause, and a lot of those guys didn't recommit this year, and so we're back to probably being young again. And I think that is a big difference between the good sides, the best sides, and I guess where we're at is just that median age bracket is a lot higher on those better performing sides. I think that's something that we indicated last year we needed to kind of try and lift, and it's all about, for us, we've probably had a little bit of trouble just keeping players, just no excuses, but I guess with our location being so far away from Melbourne, any kid that goes away to uni, we lose them. And for whatever reason, we're a long way away from there. So if we can, I thought if we could get a little bit of success, it's going to help keep some people around. It's going to kind of grow. And if we could, bump our average age from, 2021 up to 24, 25, I think that's going to, over the next few years, I think that's going to definitely help our cause a lot. But it's just something we struggle to do a little bit, but hopefully we're on the right track.
You just touched on it there, and I think it's one of the biggest challenges going around, local football and netball moving forward is probably just the retainment of players and getting that passion back and the interest. And it's not your 25 kind of senior players that are the core of the club and that. It's the next 25 down, isn't it? Your twos players that have had a year off because of COVID. How do you get them back enthused and back around the club and I suppose wanting to be sore on a Sunday morning because they've had 12 months off? It's going to be a hard gig to get a few back, isn't it?
It is, yeah. We've had that case a bit with a few guys, who've had the year off and they've just struggled to get back into it and just struggled for motivation. There's even a bunch of guys who are playing this year who even openly said that they'd struggled for motivation during pre-season. And even like I've admitted to the boys myself personally, during that time, the last 12 months, it's hard to put my finger in exactly what it is. You have that time away from football and you think everyone would be really eager to get back into it, but it kind of hasn't exactly worked that way. But
yeah, I agree. I reckon it's interesting, isn't it? I think everyone was thinking that, but I certainly reckon there's, as I said, those kind of top 18 to 25 players that are really keen and wanting to play the best footy they can. They're keen as mustard, but it's just that next batch and the batch probably after that, isn't it? Like it's going to be a challenging kind of next couple of years, I reckon. Yeah,
definitely. And I think hopefully what will happen is, these guys will come watch a bit of footy over the next few weeks and get a bit of interest back, get a bit of spark back there. Maybe they just forget what the feeling's like and just that camaraderie about being around their mates and trying to achieve something together. Hopefully they get that back just by coming to watch some games. And I think even after the weekend playing one game, we had a training this week on Tuesday night. We had a few extras rock up with guys who were sort of hesitant about playing, but now they decide they want to play. So hopefully
that's good.
Grow. Yeah.
It might take a few rounds for a few players and clubs to sort of regenerate that enthusiasm again. So hopefully we see more numbers. Hey, Holdy, the competition I think is just young. Just looking at a lot of the teams, there's a lot of young kids getting their first chance on the weekend, and a lot that haven't sort of played a lot of senior footy. Just give us a couple of names for the Portland Tigers that we can watch out for, especially this weekend, but just the year ahead as well.
Yeah, we've got a couple of rippers. Toby Jennings, a good one to keep an eye on. You boys remember Harris Jennings from played a couple of years ago at Portland, his younger brother. He's got a really high skill level, really exciting player, can take a good grab too for a little fella. So he'll sort of play half forward and through the midfield. Another one's Tex Mitchell, good left footer, good size, runs really hard and really well. He play half forward or wing. Sam Hampshire as well. He's a 19, nearly 20-year-old now. He plays like a key forward position. Good size. He's got a lot of ability, and he will be a good player. He might take a little bit of time to grow into that, but he's going to be a good player for us for sure.
Awesome stuff, mate. We're looking forward to getting our first look at the Portland Tigers taking on Port Fairy in our Hamburn League live match of the day. Some good young kids by the sound of that, and looking forward to catching up with yourself, Holdy. We appreciate your time, mate, tonight.
No worries. Thanks, boys.
Good stuff. He's a good man, Jared Holt, too, and has done a little bit with Hampton League Live over the journey, Hilly. And good to see him back in charge over at Portland. He's really highly respected, just a good bloke, down to earth, and doing a great job over there.
Yeah, absolutely. And I really feel for Holdy because, as you said, last year they had a couple of really good players on the cast to come and play the Tigers, and obviously COVID's interrupted that. But I think, too, the great thing about Holdy is he's a real good teacher. So a lot of the kids that are coming through, the names that he said, Toby Jennings, Tex Mitchell, Sam Hampshire, and those younger ones, they're going to learn a lot.
Yeah,
and so I think he'll be a great mentor for a lot of those young ones coming through.
Well, talking about a great mentor, it doesn't get much better than this. One of the biggest signings in the off-season come in the way of the Port Fairy Seagulls and Shane Savage, ex-Hawk, ex-St Kilda football, and they tell me, Hilly, this bloke's been equally as good on the field as he has been off the field around the Port Fairy community, just willing to get involved and make himself available, and wants to really embrace the local community, which I think is fantastic. 165 games in the AFL, mate. He is an absolute superstar, make no mistake about it. Shane, we welcome you on Hampton Online, mate. How you going?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Matt. Hilly, thanks for having me.
Mate, I just touched on it, but, that is the word. The word getting out is that you've been brilliant. You're doing a building apprenticeship with Mick Hearn, who's just a fantastic supporter of the Port Fairy Football Netball Club and the Port Fairy community as a whole. How are you enjoying it? And how did you come about to be a recruit down here at the Port Fairy Seagulls?
Yeah, well, it's been a great little journey down here. It all ended pretty abruptly for me, and things moved pretty quickly. There were a lot of clubs around Australia wanted to sign me, but Port Fairy came along, and I thought I'd come down here with my family and stay for a week or so, and I loved it. I think this place is really beautiful. I toured the club, and the people were outstanding. So I fell in love with the place and knew that this was the right place to play footy post AFL and also raise my kids. So. It's been really good so far. The carpentry's been different. I've been chucked into the deep end. I'm quite green in that area, but no, it's really exciting, and it's we got a really young team at Port Fairy, but I'm really enjoying being really invested in the team.
You got some big shoes to fill over there because Mick Hearn's apprentices over the years. So we've had Sholey, of course. Daniel Nicholson has come through there as well. There's been some talented footballer come chippies that have got the job done. I don't think there was any work in Brad Scholl whatsoever. I think they just said, listen, tools down for you, Sholey. You can be just our little runaround, mate. And I think that's how that ended up, Shane.
Well, why can't I do that? Look, Mick's told me all about those boys, so no, I've got plenty of big shoes to fill, that's for sure.
And Shane, obviously, your experience is going to be so invaluable for that young list. How have you and obviously Coach Winnisimbi connected? Obviously he'd be drawing on your experiences from your Hawks and your St Kilda days. So obviously you'd be looking to be a real mentor as well as an assistant to Winnis as well, I guess, to a degree.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my pitches to Port Fairy was I didn't want to just come here and play footy. I wanted to come here and really invest in the coaching side of things. And, I've built up a lot of knowledge over my years in the AFL, and I want to be able to, help Port Fairy and especially the young players coming through. Me and Winnis have connected really well. It's a pretty small world. We, during COVID, we did our next coach program together. So, we already had that connection before I came down here. So we've worked really well together. And Shane Treffel as well, who's been an outstanding assistant coach as well for many years. So, I feel like we've got a really good bond together at the moment. And, hopefully we can build something special over the years.
Yeah, some great people. Shane Treffel, of course, Timber, he's a ripper. And Winnis, well, we just love how he goes about things. Very, very popular with the playing group. I know that is for sure, mate. What about your old football side, the Saints? You've been following them closely because there was big raps at the start of the season. And to be honest, they were probably lucky to get the job done in the end against West Coast on the weekend.
Yeah, no doubt. They took some big steps last year, and it's no doubt been a bit of an underwhelming start for them this year. They've haven't quite lived up to expectations, and yeah, you're right. They were a little bit lucky on the weekend, but the way they played in that second half was how they can play. It's all about belief, and if they bring that pressure like they did last year, then they'll be a threat. But hopefully that can be a start of something special for him. And yeah, hopefully they can build that belief from there. And who knows, anything can happen this year.
Hey, Shane, I don't want to dwell too much on AFL because obviously, you know, we really want to pump you up about your Port Fairy role. But just going back to last year and being a part of the hub, was that a real challenge, especially with someone who's got a young family? Did you find that a real challenge, you know, being a father and obviously just being a part of a major sporting organisation as well?
Yeah, no, look, it was a really tough experience. I decided to take my family up straight away, as did a couple of boys as well. But look, it definitely had its challenges. We were in a beautiful place. Noosa was outstanding, really accommodating, the RSCV resort. But you know, there were still a lot of restrictions in place at the time, and we weren't able to do certain things throughout the campaign. It no doubt was tough. We had our challenges as a family as well. My partner, my wife, was hospitalised. She got a bug bite throughout the hub and had to get hospitalised. So
wow.
Dealing with that and being out of contract and trying to perform as well, it definitely had some challenges in its own. But I thought I left no stone unturned throughout that year. I mean, I thought personally I was in career best form, and when I did play, I played some pretty good footy. So no doubt it was disappointing to end like that, but I'm really proud with the way I was able to handle myself, especially throughout that hub.
Yeah, awesome stuff, mate, and a challenging time by the sounds of it too, with the family and your wife and all that kind of stuff. It was, I think, football and netball generally. You know, we just spoke about it before. You know, like how it's changed and getting people's passion and all that kind of stuff back. And then at an AFL, such a professional level, it's another level again, isn't it? I suppose so. You know, what St Kilda's loss is certainly a massive gain for the Port Fairy Football Club. Shane, are you going to focus on that halfback flanking role, mate? You're a booming kick, of course. Is that going to be the role right throughout the season? Do you want to run through the midfield? Do you want to have a run forward? What are you thinking?
Yeah, look, for now it'll be that role across halfback, but you know, Winnes and I have had some conversations about being adaptable and flexible throughout the game. You know, being able to change positions if need be. But for now, I think I'm pretty comfortable across halfback, working with young Josh Dwyer as well. So I'm pretty comfortable. Yeah, he's a really good player, Joshy. So I'm really looking forward to playing alongside him throughout the year.
Hey Shane, obviously, you know, a disappointing first quarter against the Hamilton Kangaroos, and I think from quarter time onwards it was a pretty even sort of type game. So, you know, what was sort of the key takeaways from your match? Do you think that you'll look to sort of implement something different a little bit this week to take on the Portland Tigers?
Yeah, look, we had our review and we identified that the start was probably something that probably cost us in the end. I mean, 6 goals in the first quarter really hurt us, and we just weren't able to get back into the game. But look, it was probably some structural things that probably cost us in the end, and we'll go through that throughout the week. But look, the good thing is our effort was there. We had a pretty young side on the weekend, 7-8 debutants played, which was really exciting for the club. But look, the effort was there, but we could probably work on some structural things throughout the week, which we'll go through Thursday and hopefully implement it against a really strong Portland side this week.
Well, I'll tell you what, mate, great to talk to you for the very first time, and we are looking forward to seeing you play on Saturday. It is our Handball League Live match of the day, and we appreciate you coming on because you got a random text yesterday. You would have been thinking, what is this all about? Who is this bloke? And what's this online crap he's going on about? But you never shied away, mate. You just said, righto, let's do this. Sounds good. We'll have a bit of fun, and we'll go from there.
Boys. It's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Good on you, mate. Great to see you in the competition, that is for sure. And as I said, looking forward to seeing you play in 2021. Been fantastic on the field and also off the field for the Port Fairy Seagulls. Shane Savage.
Yeah, terrific, Matty. And we've been really lucky with some of the AFL players that have come down into the region. You know, Dan Nicholson's been an absolute superstar. You spoke about Brad Scholl as well. You know, Port Fairy. We've had a good...
Brian Benke.
You know, we've had a few good AFL players come down. And
Ricky Henderson.
And I think it's just great that, you know, listening to Shane, really wants to reinvest into the community and be a part of it, just not be a player, which we've probably seen a few clubs get players and just they don't have that community feel about him. But it's great that he's really community orientated as well. So look forward to seeing him play and part of the Port Fairy community.
Gee whiz, I tell you what, you put Maddie Sully in at centre half back. You got Savage and Dwyer on the half back flanks. She's not a bad backline, Hilly. One of my favourite young kids, Joshy Dwyer. We missed him, of course, 2 seasons ago with the Greater Western Victorian Rebels where he was playing. But he's a beauty.
He is a beauty, and what a great mentor to have, Shane Savage. He plays that half back role really well, and I guess a little bit of a different player. He's a really tall player. Shane's probably not as tall, but I'll tell you what, he can probably learn a few tricks from the great Shane Savage. There's no doubt about that.
Great stuff, Hilly. Let's have a look at the other round of matches, or the other games are going to be played in round 2 of the Hampden Football Netball League. We're going to have a look at Camperdown v Cobden first. This is going to be a beauty. No love lost between these two teams over the journey, Hilly. And Camperdown had a great victory last week against Terang Mortlake. Cobden narrowly going down against the North Warrnambool Eagles. One of the fancy teams, the Eagles. It's going to be a beauty. Under lights for the first time at Lura Oval.
Yeah, absolutely. A great thing, firstly, for the Camperdown Magpies to unveil their lights. I know they've put a lot of work into it, but just the contest itself, I reckon this is going to be a game where it goes a kick or two under. You know, I just don't think there's going to be much in it. Cobden are going to go hard. They want to get their first 4 points. Camperdown will be wanting to make it 2 in a row. And as you said, there's no love lost between these two sides, so I reckon this is going to be a ripper.
North Warrnambool v South Warrnambool. The Roosters, they had 4 or 5 quality players out last weekend. They were still good enough to get the job done against Warrnambool. The Eagles narrowly go down. I spoke to Adam Wines during the week. He said we've got a really good core out there and, a good young side, fit young side. They're expecting big things, the Eagles. This is going to be a cracking game as well.
Yeah, and I think too, the whisper is that there could be a chance Ricky Henderson may line up for the South Warrnambool Roosters as well. And
wouldn't that be good?
You've said as well, they've probably got 4 or 5, even maybe a few more that could come back into that lineup. Hussey, Yule, Nick Thompson, Sam Thompson.
Jock
Blair. So they've got a lot of talent to come in, the Roosters. But North Warrnambool, question mark on Dylan Parrish and also to Dion Johnston, who suffered a couple of little injuries on the weekend. The severity, I don't know, so it'd be interesting to sort of see whether they do take their place. But I think, North Warrnambool, they always like a challenge. Adam Dowie loves a challenge. And no bigger challenge than the Roosters at the moment.
Yeah, Koroit versus Terang Mortlake is the next game, Hilly. And I know the Saints ended up with 16 on the park against Portland for half of the final quarter on the weekend with injuries. So there's going to be a few changes, you would imagine, out of Victoria Park in Koroit for this weekend's clash.
I guess it's a good chance of testing a bit of depth, isn't it, for the Saints? But in saying that, I wouldn't take Terang Mortlake too lightly. Really good 3 quarters against Camperdown. Probably just fell away in that last quarter. A really young side, but I think they've got some really exciting youngsters as well, and some experience in there. They've still got your Dylan Jones, Chris Baxter, and the like. So I think Croyd will get the job done, but a great opportunity for the Bloods.
Yeah, Warrnambool v Terang Mortlake is the final game. The Blues, they would have been a little bit disappointed last weekend for mine, Hilly. The Roosters had 4 or 5 good players out from the first game there at Good Friday. Had their opportunities. They levelled up halfway through the third quarter and you kind of thought, hang on, this is game on here. The Blues might get the job done, but they just didn't fire a shot in that final term.
Yeah, and as you said earlier, their kicking towards the scoring end was a little bit disappointing. So I know Benny Parkinson would have had a look at the vision and sort of looked at the ways that they can try and improve this week. And Hamilton's not going to be an easy task. And it's at Deakin University to the pond for the first time for premiership points. And hopefully it's not a wet day because it could be very, very miserable out there. It cuts up pretty quickly.
We had the junior footy out there in netball on Sunday, and it was pretty good, to be honest. I think everyone was happy that we're out there nice and early on the season, if you know what I mean. But look, the Blues have got to do something. They had to go somewhere, and Deakin University been accommodating, even though you're not allowed to park on the grass apparently, but in certain areas. But they're doing a good job. It's good to see that facility out there getting used. I reckon that's the key.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Hamilton on the other hand as well.
Levi Dare, they tell me, was absolutely magnificent last week.
And Lachlan Waddell, obviously the new recruit from Port Melbourne, VFL experience was really good. And the other one I heard a little whisper too was young Sam Chatfield, the son of Tim, kicked 2 goals and was very lively up forward. So one to watch out for. And we speak about these young players coming through. I think Sam's only 18, 19. A lot of talent.
Yeah, awesome stuff. Now listen, that is it in regards to our online show this week. We must thank our sponsors, Hilly, and have a look at these Chittix pies. 4 pies sat here in front of me, and I have not looked to munch into one, but you can't beat a Chittix pie. They are magnificent. McDonald's, of course, the old McHappy Meals. My kids just absolutely love them. They live on them. Great to see McDonald's, Jace and Anthony and the team too involved. SunGold FM flavoured milk. Now,
Jeez, I've been hammering this down. The little fella, my little fella Levi, loves his honeycomb and loves his honeycomb FM SunGold milk. So great product.
It is a great product, and make sure you stock it at your football and netball grounds because these guys are supporting you. Okay, that is the key. Same with the pies, same with McDonald's, and the same with the fresher fruit juice over there. We've got the premium orange, we've got the apple blackcurrant, then just the stock standard. It is magnificent, and we mustn't forget Power Core, Timmy Rourke and the team, and we will have the Power Core Rising Star in the netball and the football. Okay, and last week, young Bridgewater, for mine, he was fantastic for South Wollongong. I reckon they've unearthed one there. He just competed all day. We spoke to Danny Finn before the game, and he said you'll just get competitiveness out of him, and he did not let the South Wollongong Roosters down. He was awesome.
He was terrific, and I think structurally really adds something to the Roosters as well. Obviously, they lacked a good ruckman first game against Koroits, and I think Bridgewater's the man that can take the reins and just get games into him. I think that's the real key.
Yeah, and that is the Power Core Rising Stars for 2021. And we must say a big shout out to Doreen Power and Sue Cassidy. Lindock Living, okay, they tune in each and every week. It's great to see the oldies, the ladies, the gentlemen listening. They listen on a Saturday afternoon to Hamden League Live. We are coming. The pies are coming out. We're going to have a pie night, Hilly.
Yes.
We might even do the show, the online show live from out there, because you imagine, right, there's been a lot of football and netballs over the years, and there's a lot out there that have been involved and are now spending the latter part of their lives at Lindock, which is just sensational.
And I can imagine there'd be a lot of great stories from years gone by, both on the netball court and the footy oval. So yeah, it'd be great to get out there and talk to some of the residents and listen to some of the old footy stories. And
I must give a shout out to Tractor Smith and the team too at Matco Hire. Highlight of the day, of course. There wasn't many highlights last week in our random matches. And the other thing I want to mention, start thinking about this too, people, is the Wollongong Toyota $5,000 kick. It is back in 2021. $5,000 to kick into that unbreakable Hilux. Matty Burgess, Goffey and the team out there. We appreciate their support and great to see them back on board.
I love that competition when we have a grand final day, and I can still remember the great Brad Ottens nailing it from 50 quite a few seasons ago, and high fives all around. I reckon you might have been on the microphone, mate.
I think I was. Hey, Hill, I'm going to put one to you quickly before we go. No Reed Oval, of course. It's under redevelopment, so the grand final can't be there. Where do you think the grand final should be played 2021?
Yeah, good one, Matt.
Put you under the pump here.
I really like the surface of the DC Farron Oval. It doesn't get used a lot. I think surface-wise would be absolutely terrific. But the big question is, do they want to take it out of town? Because some don't like to travel, and let's be honest, some don't like to travel. But I think that would be my preferred option. South Warrnambool, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Alma Gardens Oval, Port Fairy.
Yep.
A little boutique. It's only 15 minutes up the road for the main group of people, but it is a travel from Camperdown, Terang, Cobden, the other side. But I don't know. I think this year might be an opportunity to take it somewhere and just see, because I think the Gardens Oval is a nice facility over there. Yep. End of September, sun shining. The hills filled. It's just a beautiful little spot. It's got a good atmosphere, I reckon, nice and secluded. And that's just for mine. Question without notice, mate. Sorry.
No, that's all right, mate. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a topic of discussion over the year as it is. So good to get it out early, and it'd be great to get some thoughts on some of our viewers and where they think it should be played this year as well.
Absolutely. We hope you're enjoying the online show. We'll be back again, same time next Wednesday.